Okay, my name is Sabrina Iscaro, and I'm 30 years old, and I've been married for 5 years. I'm from Brazil, but I saw my dad sometimes get upset and screaming to my mom because it has the Brazilian and the macho thing. That means scream and women has to obey. And I saw these kind of things. So my mom stay quiet, let him calm down, but it was okay. I was happy that I have a good family. But I saw those about the marriage of my mom and my dad, and I never saw love between them, like holding hands in front of me and they hold the hand actually, but they never kiss in front of us. They never show too much love between them two.
Okay.
How I first met my husband. Okay, I was work in North Miami Beach in export and import company, and I had a car accident at that time. So I was looking for a place to take the other person's car to get an estimate, and I called somebody that worked for my ex-husband because my ex-husband owned a body shop, and this person came to look at the car. When this person came to look at the car, he said, "Look, that's fine. Leave the car, whatever you have, whatever it is now, because we're gonna charge the same price." I'm like, okay. So next day, my husband told me that this guy went back to his office and said, "Look, I met this beautiful girl. You have to go meet her." So the next day I got sick, and my ex-husband showed up there looking for me, and my co-worker called me and said, "Look, has a guy that came here to fix your car." And I'm like, "I don't want to fix my car. I want to fix the other car." So I was 3 days out of work, and he came back every day. So the fourth day I came back to work. I remember it was Monday, I think, or Tuesday, and he came. I was in the table. He came and told me, "I came to fix your car." I look at him and said, "I'm not gonna fix my car. I came right now." And he was like, let me take a look, let me see what I can do." I'm like, okay. So he said, "Show me the car." So we went outside, and I was showing the car, and he was checking me out, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why you check me out? He say, look, if you're married and I would like to invite you to dinner." Say, "Look, I'm not married, and I'm not gonna go to dinner. I'm too busy." And after that, he was like, what else you do?" I say, "I'm personal trainer." At that time I did that for side. And he's like, "I need a personal trainer. Give me a business card." So I gave it a business card from the company that I worked in at that time. And right away he called me after, and he said, "You're a beautiful bunny." Fast forward, Friday came, like 4 days, and he called me and said, "You would like to go to lunch?" I say, "No, I can't. I'm working." So around like 5 o'clock in the same day, he showed with beautiful roses, beautiful, like 20 red roses, dropped on my table, and just say, "I was thinking about you," and left. I was like, wow, that's really nice, and I like that. So in the same night, I called him, so he didn't answer. Next night, I called back, and he's like, "Okay, let's go out to dinner." I said, "No, let's go for breakfast." So we went to breakfast after, I think it was 2 weeks, and he was very nice. And he asked, "What's your favorite wine?" I say, "Pinot Noir." He got 2 beautiful bottles of Pinot Noir, La Crema. I went to visit a friend of mine. I was like, "Oh my God, he's so amazing, so nice," but he's older than me. He's 20 years older than me. But anyway, we talk sometimes, and I think after 3 months, we went out for a dinner, first date, like a dinner, and he brought a beautiful diamond necklace for me. I never had that, so I was like, oh, melting, and I gave him a kiss. So after that, we went on a dinner. All the time we had a date after that was a diamond necklace. He went to drop it off in the airport I went to meet a friend of mine in Texas. He brought a beautiful necklace, like a heart shape. Another time we went to a lunch, and he bought a bunch of little diamonds that I have in my ears. Another time we went to a Guess by Marciano, and he spent $5,000. So I was 24 at the time, and the guy was so nice. And I was having problem to my roommate, so was to expire my rent, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll rent a place for you." So he rented a place for me. I love the lifestyle, and he was so nice and charming. The only problem, he was older and was divorced. So I called my mom, I called my grandma, and I talked to them, and they're like, "Don't worry about that. That's no big deal. If he treats you well, you can love him. And I was like, that's fine. So I remember it was a Halloween. We went to Key West, and he proposed me there, and I accepted. I said yes. And I remember my mom come to visit me, and he was always asking about my past, how many guys we slept, who we stayed with before I got married. And sometimes I say I lie because I didn't want to let him know because it was not his business. But sometimes with so much pressure that I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I kissed that guy, and I just didn't want to tell you. And he ended the marriage, the engagement. And he kicked my mom, and I was leaving his house that time, and he kicked my mom and me out of the house. He gave it. I was 24, naive. I was completely like so drawn to him. So I don't know. I believe that was me. I was young, and he took me and my mom to my apartment back, and he asked all the diamonds back too. Yes, and he was with another girl in that time. And I remember we had to go to a wedding in Atlanta, and the way of the wedding, he was stop and go to the bathroom all the time. I didn't talk to the girl. And when he got that in Starbucks, he proposed me again, and he said, "Okay, in a month we're gonna get married." I was like, "All right, great." I was super happy, and he managed everything. I just had to get the dress. He chose where's gonna be the place, Las Vegas, where everything. I had to choose the flowers actually, and I think the wedding dress. It's all like a Cinderella story for me. You know, the life, the fancy life, and the easy life, and I thought that, you know, I fell in love for him. I thought he was the most charming, beautiful man. When I see him today, he's a psycho. He's a psycho and a monster. You see in the eyes, and how I could not see that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something interesting. The day that I arrived in Las Vegas to get married, that's interesting, right? Mm-hmm. It was a joke. We are walking to the airport, and he said something, and I joked with him. I did like this, and you know that's not okay. I just play with him, and he got very serious. How you do that? You disrespect me in front of my daughter, and started to scream. You have to say sorry to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was just joking, and I say sorry to her, and she was like, I don't care. I don't know what is that, and. He lost the suitcase, and he was screaming like crazy. Where's my suitcase? And he's screaming. My dad I was like, I'll have to go back. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to go back. You know? And I'm like, please, Dad, please, Dad. So right there in that moment, he's already show abuse. Screaming, like in the middle of the airport. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do, you know? I told always everything I thought it was my fault because he blamed me for everything. That was the first day, and the day that I got married, I got very drunk because it was a very unique situation. I was in Las Vegas with O.J. Simpson. He was the best man of my husband, and it was the whole chaos of O.J. Simpson with the memorabilia that was stolen. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of photographers. I was there. I didn't know what's happened. I just drink sake like crazy, and I didn't have my wedding night. So my ex-husband woke me up, kicked me with the feet. I don't think it was my fault. I think it's stupid. Excuse my language, but I think it was like, hey, pay attention to the situation. O.J. Simpson, in my wedding, he's going to jail. 100 like photographers in front of my thing. I was 24 years old, naive, you know, and I'm like, my whole wedding is a disaster. You know, I don't have a wedding. I didn't like my dress when I put it. So, you know, I have to rush out of the little shop though, and I have to rush in. It's understandable that you know, I was young and I just got drunk, and I should not. Yes, but I did. Because after even 4 years after I got married, I was pregnant actually. After 4 years, after 3 years, I think, I was pregnant, and we were watching a movie. And this movie was about the same situation. The woman passed out in the wedding night. Mm-hmm. He fought me like crazy. I went downstairs and I hid downstairs, and he was screaming to me, call me prostitute, how you done that? It was not for an hour or for two, it was for the whole night. I went to the room, I was hiding myself in the room, pregnant, and the guy from the front desk called the police, and the police knocked the door. And I was just asking him for forgive me. Please forgive me. That's what I thought. I knew I did a big mistake. just knew it. But I was embarrassed to leave him after it was 3 months of marriage. And I knew I could not leave him because when you marry, in my culture, in my family, you're supposed to try everything in marriage forever. So I knew I made a mistake. I was thinking about my parents, what they're gonna think, my family. So I had to stay. And after 3 months, before when I got married, I worked in some modeling. Like, first of all, I was not real model. I did some freelance and stuff. And I did some pictures that I was on the side, and I was sensual pictures, no clothes, but I was hiding all private part, but it was very classy. And he wants to get those pictures, and he asked me questions about that. And he said that I didn't want to tell him. He said I was lying. So he tried to get the pictures, and when he come to me, and I had to tell him, look, it was that kind of picture. I was a photographer, I was a model, and I have to, I have to be without the clothes, but I hide myself, protect myself. It was nothing like crazy. He beat me up. He beat me up. Like, he said, you lied to me. Why you didn't tell me that? I said, you were my husband. It didn't matter. I remember he slapped in my ears. No, my earrings flew away. He's pushed me back, and I pulled my hair. Was really intense. And I remember I couldn't move next day. And I remember he come back and just have sex and leave. But he made me believe that I was disrespecting myself, that it was my fault. And you got so vulnerable. When a man touch you and beat you, you don't think, you don't have power. You lose everything you have. And I remember standing, looking in the mirror and look at the bruises. It's difficult. It's difficult to think. I was so vulnerable and scared. Nobody knows what it is. You're very scared about him. He said he's gonna send the mob to kill my family. You were young and you believe in that man. You marry him. You think he's everything. Everything he says is true. But I discovered that everything he says is a lie. That was interesting because he got jealous about my daughter. He said spent too much time with her, and before the 30 days or 40 days that after you have a baby, you cannot have an intercourse. And he went crazy. I had to hide myself many times in the bathroom with my daughter, because I had to answer the phone all the time he called. If I didn't answer the phone, oh man, my day was a big problem, and I was always scared to answer the phone right away. And I didn't answer. I was giving my daughter back, and he come home and throw everything on the floor and come close to my daughter and started screaming, like throwing, and my daughter just jumped. He forced me to have an anal sex, and I begged him to stop, and he was very rough on me, and it was really bad. And I'm begging him, and he said, "Gonna kill my family. If you're gonna send somebody to kill my family." And I remember after that, look in the mirror, and I didn't have a smile. For the first time I look in the mirror, I didn't have a smile, and I love to smile. That's what's me. I love life, and my face was down. And then I never take it out of my mind that he was the first person that took my smile away. And it was so many. He put a gun in my head too, and I have a Bible in my hand, and I pray for God. Please, I pray. I didn't slap to the guy. I didn't. I swear to God, I'm with the Bible. And
my name is Somi Ali, and I'm 36 years old, and I'm the founder and president of No More Tears. No More Tears is a nonprofit. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization which rescues abused women and children. We also work with the LGBT community, and we provide numerous services to women, primarily immigrant women, that are brought to the U.S. and then they are abused by their spouse, boyfriend, or girlfriends. In many instances, we've helped children that are abused by the parents as well. So I think anywhere there is violence, No More Tears intervenes and puts an end to it. I grew up in a home of domestic violence in Pakistan. That's where I'm from originally. And having witnessed and being exposed to a lot of abuse in my household, not experiencing it, but being a witness to it from the age of 4, it, I think, had a huge impact on my psyche. And obviously, when I was 4 years old, I couldn't intervene and make a change or put an end to it. So as an adult, I wanted to start a nonprofit and do something about it. We registered No More Tears in 2007. It took me a good year to establish contacts and, make a list of service providers. I built it differently, so I didn't want people to be on a waiting list. The first victim that we rescued was in 2008. And since 2008, we've rescued 238 women and 518 children. We just had a case recently, about a month ago, and this was a woman that, it was an emergency case. I was called and I had to show up immediately. It was, I think, midnight at a hotel. We don't have a shelter. No More Tears doesn't have a shelter. We use various hotels. And when I went and met her, I was called by the police department to meet her and help her. When I met her and I learned her story, I realized that she had gone back 3 times to her abuser. And when I know that a person has gone back before, I work a little harder on their case, because this is the first time that they've come to No More Tears. So I put in, as opposed to putting in my 100%, I'll put in 200% into the individual to make sure that when No More Tears was not in their lives, and in their life rather, I want to make sure that now that we are in her life, that she does not, there's nothing that will make her even think about going back to the abuser. And by the grace of God, and fortunately and thankfully to the services that we provide, which are immediate, she's actually working, filed a restraining order, and filed her divorce papers. She's in therapy, and she's doing very well. And, women, especially immigrant women, are afraid to report the abuse because they are fearful of being deported, because they have given birth to children in the U.S., and the husband or the boyfriend will threaten them and say that if you were to call the police, I will have you deported and you will lose your children. And out of the fear of losing their children and going back to their home country where they don't have a future, they don't have a family that supports them. Many of them have come from dysfunctional homes. So they don't talk about it. They don't report it. They're terrified. And that's where No More Tears comes in. So we go to various mosques, temples, places of worship, universities, high schools, wherever we can go and speak, and we can educate women that it does not matter if you're undocumented and you're a victim of abuse. There are provisions and petitions that can be filed to help you through immigration. I think that's the biggest hindrance for women to be able to report their abuse. There's so many. I would like to. We've already rescued lives in Virginia, in New York, and D.C. And so I have flown to these states and rescued women, collaborated with the police departments there, and affiliated with certain nonprofits in those states and helped the women. But ultimately, I would like to help people all over the U.S., of course, and definitely my country, my home country, which is Pakistan. And the lives of women and girls are very difficult. It's not an unknown fact. And hopefully No More Tears can build schools in Pakistan and do something to help the girls and the women in Pakistan. I mean, imagine being in a small village in India and then you're living in Florida, literally, like through an arranged marriage. You barely speak English. You don't know where you are geographically. You have no family, friends, no support system, and you're dependent on the one person that is beating you. It's very, very difficult. There are a lot of obstacles to leave an abusive relationship or to leave the abuser. So, I would have to say that these women that do take a stand and do eventually try to make a change are heroes. They're very brave, and they are, in the true sense, survivors. Domestic violence is a very, very difficult mission. You get money quicker and faster for an abused dog than you would get for an abused woman, because you can show the abused animal, not to undermine animal abuse, but I can't show the women because they're in hiding. And it's a very difficult mission. You know, it's very difficult to get people to give to No More Tears. Well, we moved here when I was 9 to the U.S. We left Pakistan, and my brother and my mom and I. And then at 15, I used to watch Indian movies, Bollywood movies. I had a crush on an actor who's perhaps the equivalent to Brad Pitt of India. And I decided that if I want to marry him, I have to move to India and join films. So, which I did, and I moved to Bombay, and I told my mom that I want to go see Taj Mahal, which I obviously lied, and because there's no way I could tell them I'm going to go marry an actor, and they would be like, okay, sure. So I go to India, and I do a photo shoot, and I start giving my pictures out to ad agencies, and strangely enough, at the ad agency, Salman Khan is sitting on a couch where I go to give my pictures. I didn't see him. He took my picture, he saw me, and then he called me in a matter of my being there for a month, and he said, would you like to do a film with me? And then I was like, this is a joke, right? And of course he convinced me that it was him, and then that's when my film career started. I started modeling first, did a movie with him, and I did 10 Indian films. And when I was 24 years old, we were supposed to get married, but then the fairy tale ended badly because I was cheated on. So I moved back to America and I started studying. But to look at it in a positive manner, had I not been cheated on and left India, there would have been no More Tears. So I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I think I listen to horror stories all day long, literally, but last week I had a case of a 5-year-old girl who was anally raped by her father, and I'm very strong because I know that I want to fix what's broken, but I had to step out of the intake room and give myself 15 minutes to recover from what I heard. She's a beautiful young girl, and a life is damaged, basically. I don't know how to fix this, and I took this home with me, and it has had such an impact on me that I'm unable to recover from it. However, the state put her on a waiting list for therapy, and No More Tears was able to get her in therapy that very day, and we're going to get an attorney. The father has not been arrested. In fact, he has supervised visitation with this child after what he did, because there's no substantial evidence, even though she has trouble going to the bathroom. And she has clearly stated and showed us on charts, which is how you determine what happened, that her father has raped her. That was perhaps the most difficult case for me, yes. And you know, it's the small charities that need the funding so they can grow. Unfortunately, it's sad that the big nonprofits that have millions and millions of dollars, and they have these huge board members and supporters that are donating so much money to them, are flourishing, and here people that are small and working so hard are struggling. I think it's really sad. Absolutely, really, really sad. It's people that have compassion, that have a heart, and that are generous, and they actually care about the women and children. They actually care about domestic violence. These are the kind of people I wanted affiliated with No More Tears. I don't understand how a CEO of a nonprofit organization is working and not knowing who she's helping. This baffles me to no end, that you're running this big nonprofit organization and you don't know the face of the woman or the child or the man or the boy whom you are giving services to. I never want No More Tears to be this gargantuan, corporate red tape organization ever. I don't mind us being small. I don't mind us saving 6 lives a month, but that does not mean I don't want us to be big financially. There's a distinction that it must be emphatic on right here. I want us to be small where we give hands-on help, where we treat these people like human beings and not hand them a can of peas and say, here's your food. We don't want to be like that.
Yes, my name is Cristina, Cristina Pera. I am originally from Romania. I'm 35 years old, and I met my husband back in 2006, beginning of the year 2006. Sometimes I'm afraid to go back there because even if I know that I was to a little age that I can't remember too much, I still feel the smell of alcohol of my dad that used to ask me to come in his room to walk on his back. That was a typical massage in Romania, I guess. And after that, he will always try to keep me in there, but not keeping me and talking or discussing about something. He was just like touching me and trying to kiss me on my mouth and trying to go deep into my PJs with whatever I had in. And for me, I knew it's wrong, but I'm coming from a communism country, where no one will talk to you about sexual life. My mom, even when I was 18, she never told me what sex means or how can I be aware of this or what's going to happen. And I knew that my parents are there just to see me going. I never felt like I'm loved, because every time my dad used to take me in that room and I was screaming, and I used to call it a torture room. Every time I called my mom to rescue me, and I was sweating and I didn't know what to do, and I was almost hitting my dad, but no power, of course, because he was a very big man. My mom never came to rescue, and I can hear her from the kitchen saying that the food is on the stove and she can't leave right now. So I always had to start crying and beg to be released, to let me go, just let me go. I was for sure 6 years old because that's when he moved to the house and to a new apartment, and that's when he had his own room, because he decided not to share his bedroom with my mom. Well, I met my husband in 2006, in the beginning of the year. We met online on a website called Paltalk, a Romanian chat. We started to like each other. He was living here in Miami. I was living in Canada, in Montreal. And at the beginning it was something virtual, but then he put himself that he really is in love and he cares about me. I had my son in Canada from a previous relationship which didn't work, and he knew about the kid, and he agreed that he wants to come and visit and see us in Canada, which he did. And it was something crazy, and I think we were in love with each other at that time, 2006. Face to face, of course, I had to play myself, because I was very shy, and I had to put something happy in my head, because when you meet someone that you never seen, it's still a lot of emotions. But I remember that I looked at him, and he looked pretty big for my stature, but still, he was looking okay. He was okay. He came inside, and they said, this is me and this is him, and he said, just get dressed. He asked where Armani is, my son. I told him that my friend has him, and he said, let's go get dressed and let's go for dinner. and it sounded good. We went for dinner actually, and it was good. It was really nice. I think I had 3 weeks, dream weeks. Like, we were so good. And he came up with the idea in Canada that because he has a house, an apartment in a 55 and older community, and I already have a 40-year-old son, he said that it's better for us to move to US, to live in his apartment and put our money in school. And he was asking and begging that he wants kids. He's at that age, he's 30, and he needs to be a father, and he thinks I'm the perfect woman to do that. So we moved to US. First day at his house in US, me, Armani, and him. He left with his friend, and I remember the house phone called, and was a lady on the phone asking me what am I doing in her husband's house. And I was in shock. It passed around 4 months, 5 months. I was already pregnant with his girl. He never told me that he was married while bringing me to US. He never told me that he was married 3 times prior to that. So looking at me, I felt like I'm his fifth wife, you know. But yeah, he lied a lot. He lied so much to me. But I was blind. I was hoping that I would get that family that I wanted, and being pregnant with his daughter, having my son from my prior relationship, I thought that he is the man that's gonna lead us and be better people and have a better life. But that ended up very soon, probably like the first 2 weeks when I was living with him there, and he knew that I have no other way to go back to Canada. He started to make me think that I'm all his, he owes me, and I'm just an object. I'm not a human being anymore, me or my kid. So yeah, he did change very fast. No, we weren't, but I was pregnant, and I asked him that I want him to get divorced because I gave birth to his daughter. And he agreed, and yeah, he got divorced, and soon after he got divorced, we got married. So we got married in 2007. And he finally decided, we got married, and it wasn't something very big. It was just a little ceremony, me and him in there. We had no one to witness. Then I realized that there is a problem. There is something that is hiding, and his behavior at home, and he started to come home maybe for 2 or 3 days, and always complaining and screaming, and he was always mad at Armani, my son, that even if Armani came from the room to ask for a bowl of cereal, I remember that he said, "Stop him, not at this time, he needs to sleep, he can eat in the morning." Stuff that, they made me so mad, because no matter what, my son is my son. Right now I have 3 kids, and they're all my kids, and I love them equally. But for him, no, it was something else. If let's say, I remember we were watching a movie, a Jim Carrey movie, when Jim Carrey is a stepdad taking care of a baby, and then the real dad comes in the story, and the kid is crying, hugging the kid. So of course I'm emotional, and I started to tear, but not crying or anything. He looked at me and he said, "Of course, I don't know if I can say things like that, very bad about me," just because my eyes were watering, and of course I get emotional. And he said that, "Oh, of course you love him, and you're just using me, and you came here, and you still love your son's father." And that was the first time when he had a glass wine, and he threw it on my face, in front of my baby. And of course I felt humiliated. I tried to not to scream, to do anything, and I said, "Why would you do this to me? We're watching a movie, and I'm now with that guy for the last 5 years. Why would you just blame me that I'm thinking of someone that's not here with us? It's in another country. My son doesn't have a relationship with his dad. Why would you bother?" And that's when he really pulled my arm, and then he started to hit me, and Armani was locked in his room. We were only living in 2 rooms in a 55 and older community. My son was never allowed to go outside because the board will see him and then they will send us to another place. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, he came after that and he apologized and he said that he thinks he loves me too much and he can't handle the idea that I'm thinking of another man. And I looked at him and I said, I'm here. I gave up on all my life. I left the country. I have no friends in here. I left everyone that I used to know back in Canada. I didn't even sell everything I had. I listened to you and I came here to have a family. And now I'm just completely lost. It's nothing like you promised me to be. And he came and he started with all the how they are. Oh, I love you. I think I'm so jealous. Sometimes I can't control myself. But of course it was a lie because since then I can feel there was no respect anymore, and I was not able to even smile in the house because that would be a reason for me to think about someone else, or I'll have a plan, or I'll have something. So yeah, it was a lot of physical and mental abuse after that. Like he will throw me in the bed, and of course I'm crying because I'm scared, and he's a tough guy and I'm 5'4", 5'3", and he will just like cover my mouth with the pillow, and that's when I knew that this has to stop. My son came and he jumped right on his back because my son got scared that my feet, they just started to shake and they knew that I have no more air, but it wasn't him, it was my son jumping on his back to save me. And I think that was pretty scary for a little bit, for a little kid to witness. Of course they were not an apologizer, and he always told me, hey listen, you have nowhere to go, you are here illegally, if you try to do one move you will disappear, and even if I kill you or I'll put you in a garbage bag, nobody knows about you and there's no authorities knowing you're here. And he started to play really crazy, I think, and tell me that he's disgusted to wake up next to me because I have a horse face, but not a joke, you know, like he meant it. And I felt that he's like heartless looking at me and me trying. Of course I had 3 kids and so much work to do and never happy and always stuck in the house like an ostatic, you know, like I was not able to go anywhere, have friends. And I don't know, it hurts when I go back, but I'll start with one night. It was 8:30. I know it got dark earlier than normal, and I was with my friend. I was finally allowed to have one friend. There was a neighbor, and she had 2 kids on her own. So because he never liked anyone to come in the house to see how we live and how he's screaming at the kids and how the kids are punished and grounded, and I had to meet her outside. He knew I'm in the intersection right next to the house, maybe a few feet away. He knew I stayed there with her talking. I had my phone, he had his cell phone. He called me and he said, what the fuck are you? The kids are screaming in the house. I said, I'm right here talking to my friend Melissa. I said, I'm right here in the corner. No, you're not. I came and I looked. When you come home, I'm gonna cut your legs down. I was scared. I started to shake. My friend Melissa took me to the driveway, and he came from the house in front of the kids. He grabbed me from my hair and he started to hit me in front of my friend. And I'm talking at 8:30 at night for only 20 minutes, talking to a friend just to make my head more relaxed and just to breathe somehow fresh air, because we're never allowed to go outside with the kids. He never believed that the kids, they need air to live, and he always wanted us to just be in the house, that's all. It was every day. I can't remember every day. Every day he will come, and if something was wrong he will just hit me, and I do have a picture if you want to see later, like to see how he was and how I was so tiny. And every time, like I had to hide my bruises because I had conferences at school and always wearing long sleeve, and I was always embarrassed if people see me, what they think. And of course I was afraid that if someone sees and call the police, he will just deport me like a piece of garbage, like he always used to tell me. He took our son, 2-year-old, from the living room just because he was screaming because one toy didn't fit in the little hole he had in there. And just because he was screaming, and my husband was watching news on TV, and the volume on TV was maximum, I think. And of course it's very, very disturbing for me and the kid. What about the kid? Just because Jason was screaming, I saw my husband grabbing his arm. He took him by his arm in the air. Okay, he opened the bedroom door, and from the door, standing at the door, he threw the kid in the bed. He locked the door and he said, "If you dare to go in there, I'm gonna kill you both." I said, "Why would you do it? Why? He's my kid. He's crying." He said, "No, you are not opening that door." And that's when I said, "You know what? I think it's enough. You had us, you had me, you had my son, you had Angelina, but this is a baby. This baby needs me." And the baby started to he told me that I'm crazy, that I will never be believed, and if someone has to leave the house, that will be me because I'm illegal. Me and my retarded son, that's how I used to call my son, which is such a great boy. And that's it. That's a brainwash. That's what happened to me for the last 5 years. Us being afraid of him when he would pull in the driveway, that the AC is not at 78, and why is the AC at 77? And you will start a huge fight. I'm talking about little details that they bother him so much. I was afraid, I was shaking. Me and the kids looking at the window, the moment we count, okay, he's getting down the car, it would take like 10 seconds to be, everyone had to just stay, in the room and quiet, and we're sometimes faking it like we're sleeping just because we wanted to avoid another fight and another yellings. And yeah, it was disturbing for a long time.